Our nation is suffering from a vicious upsurge in criminal activity and a most severe lack of leadership. We have maintained, while in office and out of office, that crime is not solely a government issue. We believed then, as we believe now, that crime fighting requires, in fact, demands the involvement of all stakeholders across the state to effectively combat criminal activity in our country. Before the last general elections, the opposition arguably successfully painted an illusion that somehow the Labour-led government was solely responsible for crime. They claimed that they had the solution, and so they took office. Since then, the situation has deteriorated significantly over the last 3 years, to the point where no one is safe, no one is sacred, no one is spared, whether it be government ministers, family of government ministers, members of the opposition, businessmen, men, women, labor or PAM. Law enforcement officers have also gotten swept up in the scourge of crime, where some have fallen victim to criminal attacks, while others have become engaged in criminal activity themselves. Everyone has been affected by crime in St. Kitts and Nevis. Some have been touched while others have become tainted. While the Labour Party has never denied the presence of crime in the Federation, the statistics up until our last year in office showed undeniable proof that crime and criminal activity in the Federation were on a downward trend, although much more was needed to be done. However, according to police statistics, there were 81 reported armed robberies in 2017 compared to 57 in 2016. Overall, reported crimes increased from 1,050 in 2015 to 1,665 in 2016 to 1,868 in 2017, and 2018 seems ready to surpass even those figures. So between 2015 and 2017 alone, you've had almost 90% increase in crime. This is unheard of. Now, while it is unrealistic to blame Dr. Timothy Harris alone for crime in this country, it is noteworthy that due to his severe lack of leadership and his own government's involvement in scandal after scandal after scandal, it is clear that Timothy Harris nor his government has shown the ability to bring the country together to deal with crime. I will remind you that while Timothy Harris was a member of the Labour government, he was offered on more than one occasion the opportunity to take up the Ministry of National Security. He refused. Let me also remind you, on the appointment of the Commissioner of Police, the Prime Minister, Timothy Harris, said that the buck stops with Quealy on crime, not him, the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security. This is in contrast to his counterpart in Nevis, who recently acknowledged that the buck ultimately stops with him as Premier. So I join with my colleagues in saying that Timothy Harris has failed as the leader on fighting crime. And in the interest of our nation, Honorable Harris should resign as the Minister of National Security, in the very least, and allow someone else a chance to lead on this very critical issue. Throughout all of this, the Labour Party has taken keen notice of the deafening silence of the civil society organizations over the past 3.5 years. There has not been one strong, publicly expressed word of concern coming from any of these organizations that I can recall, despite the heinous crimes that have occurred over the last few years, including the killing of multiple businessmen, businesswomen, the 3 murders of law enforcement officials, most recently the senseless murder of police officer Sergeant Leon Shabo Powell. These are the same organizations who made it their business and duty to make statements for less under the Labour administration. So, to the leaders of the Christian Council and Evangelical Association, are you satisfied with the level of criminal activity in this country, such that you find it unnecessary even to offer publicly a word of positive inspiration, of hope and prayer for our country, as blood is shed and people's property is violated at levels never ever before seen in our country? I therefore support my colleague Dr. Jeffrey Hanley in calling on the church to lead our nation into a national day of prayer and fasting. We need it now more than ever before. The Chamber of Industry and Commerce has been mute, while multiple businessmen and women have been robbed at gunpoint and in too many instances killed and murdered. Yet there is complete silence. To our civil societies, your silence and inaction are creating a perception that you are in bed with the government. It is creating a perception that you are purposely turning a blind eye to the increased criminal activity in our country. Is your silence consent? Is your silence support of the government? Enough is enough. It cannot be the opposition alone at a press conference or on the streets who is on the battleground to speak up and act about crime. We must come together now. We cannot let our political affiliations hinder us in safeguarding the future of our country for our children and their children for generations to come. I therefore echo the call for the establishment of the Crime Commission that will transcend administrations, and that this St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party commit to be fully involved in this very needed and urgent plea to save our country. Thank you.